You ever have one of those nights? You're just lying there, tossing and turning, and you start to wonder, why is getting a good night's sleep so hard? Well, you are definitely not alone. But what if I told you it's not some big mystery? What if it's more like a blueprint, one that you can build yourself? Today, we're going to map out that exact blueprint.
And look, it's a totally fair question, because man, it can feel complicated. I mean, so many things seem to mess with our sleep. What you had for dinner, that stressful day at work, you name it. It feels like you have to juggle a dozen different things perfectly just to get a decent night's rest, right?
But here's the good news. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. Instead of thinking about this long, overwhelming list of rules, let's try something different. Let's think of it like a puzzle. A puzzle with just 3 key pieces. Once you see how they all fit together, everything else just kind of clicks into place. So, let's solve it.
All right, so first up, the first piece of our puzzle, this is the foundation, your environment. We've got to create a space that basically screams to your brain and your body that, hey, it is time to power down. We're talking about crafting the perfect sleep sanctuary.
And here's the main idea. Your goal is to transform your bedroom from this wired, multi-purpose room into a sleep cave. Seriously, just think about a cave for a second. What is it? It's cool, it's dark, and it's quiet. And that's exactly what our bodies are hardwired to need to kickstart that deep, restorative sleep.
So let's start with cool. You're going to want to aim for a room temperature somewhere between 60 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 16 to 20 Celsius. Now, I know, that might sound a little chilly, but there's a really specific reason for it. See, for you to actually fall asleep, your body's core temperature needs to drop. A cool room just helps it do that way more efficiently.
Okay, next up, darkness and quiet. We all know that light is bad for sleep, right? But here's a wild fact you might not know. Your skin actually has light receptors. It can literally sense light. So it's not just about what your eyes see. That's why the goal here is total pitch black darkness. I'm talking blackout curtains, covering up every single little glowing electronic. And as for quiet, earplugs or a white noise machine are your best friends here. They just muffle everything out.
Okay, so we've built our sleep cave. That's pillar 1. Now let's move on to the second pillar, which is all about our internal biology. The whole game here is to work with your body's natural clock instead of constantly fighting against it. And at the very heart of all this is something called your circadian rhythm. You can think of it as your body's internal master clock. But here's the catch, and this is super important. It's not a perfect 24-hour clock. For most of us, it's actually a little longer, something like 24 hours and 15 minutes. That means every single day, it needs a powerful signal to reset it and get it back on track. So what's that powerful signal? It's sunlight, plain and simple. Getting about 20 minutes of natural sunlight first thing in the morning is probably the single best thing you can do to anchor that internal clock. It basically sends a memo to your body saying, hey, the day has officially started, which in turn helps it figure out when to wind down later on. Exercise works in a similar way, great in the morning or afternoon for regulating hormones. Just try to avoid it late at night, because that can raise your core body temp right when you need it to be dropping. Now for a really cool kind of counterintuitive trick, I call it the hot bath paradox. You'd think taking a hot bath would make you warm and sleepy, right? But it's actually the opposite that helps. When you're in that hot water, all the blood rushes to the surface of your skin. Then when you get out, your hands and feet act like little radiators, releasing all that heat into the air. The result? Your core body temperature plummets, and that rapid cooling effect sends a massive time for sleep signal to your brain.
All right, this one's super simple but incredibly powerful. Your brain is basically an association machine, right? It's always looking for patterns. So if you're constantly working in bed, scrolling on your phone, watching TV, you're teaching your brain that the bed is a place for being awake and alert. The trick is to reserve your bed for sleep and only sleep. When you do that, you build this powerful new association, and pretty soon, you'll start to feel sleepy almost the second your head hits the pillow.
Okay, let's recap. We've got our sleep sanctuary set up, we've synced our body's internal clock. Now it's time for the third and final pillar. And honestly, for a lot of us, this might be the most challenging one, calming down the mind. And I really want you to listen to this next part. Seriously, if there's only one single piece of advice you take away from all of this, let it be this one. This is the absolute keystone habit. It's the one that holds everything else together. And it's this. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time. Every single day. And yes, I mean on weekends too. Consistency is everything. Why? Because it regulates the release of that sleep hormone, melatonin. Your body just learns. It starts to expect sleep at a certain time, and you'll find you naturally start feeling tired right on schedule. That tossing and turning?
it just starts to fade away. You know that feeling, right? When you finally get into your nice, quiet, dark, cool bed, and suddenly your brain decides that now is the perfect time to remember some embarrassing thing you said 2 years ago. That racing mind is usually just a symptom of all the stress that's built up during the day without any kind of release valve.
So the answer is to create that release valve before you even get into bed. A simple 30-minute wind-down routine is an absolute game changer. It could be something like this. For the first 10 minutes, you plan out the next day. Get all those to-do items out of your head and onto a piece of paper. Then, for the next 10 minutes, read an actual physical book. No screens, just to disconnect. And for the last 10 minutes, maybe some light meditation or just listening to calm music to quiet your mind.
And please don't be intimidated by the idea of meditation. It's really just a simple tool to help calm a hyperactive brain. The whole practice is super straightforward. You just focus on your breath. And when your mind wanders, which, trust me, it will, you just gently bring your focus back. That's it. Think of it like a bicep curl for your brain. You're training your ability to let go of stressful thoughts, which is a superpower when it's time to sleep.
So there you have it. Those are the 3 pillars for getting a great night's sleep. And remember, this isn't some super rigid set of rules you have to follow perfectly. Think of it as a flexible blueprint. You can just start with one little piece and then build on it from there. So let's just do a quick recap of that blueprint. Pillar number 1, build your sanctuary. That means keep it cool, dark, and quiet. Pillar number 2, respect your body's clock. Use sunlight, exercise, and even temperature to get it in sync. And pillar number 3, calm your winding down mind with a rock-solid schedule and a relaxing routine.
Look, you don't have to tackle all of this at once. That's not the point. The key is just to start. So as you look at this blueprint, just ask yourself one simple question. What's one small change you can make? Which single habit are you going to start with tonight?